inherently selfish creatures.
Yeah, but I reject that as being true. I also reject the idea that psychology itself isn't a spiritual practice. It's the study of the mind, not the study of the brain. It's a study of an other than material category. Psychology itself is not even a science. It's at most you could say it's a soft science only because they could do data analysis, which require the scientific process. But the study of behavior and the study of the mind itself is other than material. So the thing is like what he's really talking about is trying to utilize manipulative tactics in order to bend people to his will. Why would I ever trust people who do that?
Do you not agree with the fact that let's go into like specifics here for a second, right? When you go for a job interview, are you showing up in slacks, a t-shirt, unshowered after 3 days, and kind of looking a little grungy, a little tired, a little bit of thrown back, and showing up and just being like, yeah, bro, I'm here for a job?
It's true that it's true that I don't, but you would have to concede it's become much more culturally acceptable if people do.
So is there anything wrong with opening up your butt cheeks in the shower, putting on a little bit of cologne, putting on some nice clothes with some slacks, ensuring that based off of your physical attributes and
that's not manipulation, though. That's moving towards expectation, not manipulation.
I wasn't done speaking.
Oh, come on, don't do that, dude. Come on.
I wasn't done speaking.
Yeah, I know, but conversations are free flowing. I haven't been interrupting.
This is the third time that you've cut me off,
dude,
and I've allowed you to finish your sentences, but you're not giving me.
You're being a prima donna, but go ahead.
So here's the thing: is I don't mind having this conversation with you, but if you're not going to pay me the same courtesy and respect that I've given you, then I have no desire to continue on with this conversation.
Conversations are free-flowing, and sometimes people interject for specific purposes to get clarification or to move the conversation towards the direction that it should go, and you do this in every conversation that you have, not just the one with me. Rarely do you ever converse with a person where you're not interjecting when you're speaking, you're not talking about various things while that's how conversations actually operate. The idea of like, you have 1 minute, I have 1 minute is nothing seen in the real world. So why don't we just discuss this like we were doing so well?
Wonderful. So did you see how you got to finish your thought and your sentence and not once did I interrupt?
Yeah, but if you had, would I be crying about it?
Look, man, if we can't be respectful on here, then I just have no interest.
We're not being disrespectful.
Okay, he's asking you not to interrupt.
Yeah, but there's going to be perhaps sometimes where an interjection's appropriate. You agree with that in the course of discourse, yeah?
Right.
Not if I haven't even gotten to my main point that I'm trying to make.
Okay, make the point.
Wonderful, thank you. I appreciate the
You're
permission.
welcome.
So, in essence, if you are going to take the time and understand that in order to weigh people in your favor, it requires persuasion, yes or no?
I don't understand what you're asking me. To weigh people in my favor, it requires what?
Yes, in order to bend a social situation in my favor, it requires you to have some level of influence, correct?
Influence, maybe. Manipulation, your first word? No.
I didn't say manipulation.
I think you did.
No, manipulation was your word.
Okay, so then, yes, I guess influence, sure.
Okay, wonderful.
But that could mean something as simple as like, I'm in a room with you, so I influence, right?
Understanding human behavior, it's important to basically recognize that we as human beings are not only influential, but we take the time to persuade people in our favor, right? It's natural and a survival instinct in human behavior to create an environment that is a product of you not becoming a product of your environment. Right? So there is somewhat of a power struggle. There's a little bit of a power exchange that takes place socially. Now, in order to acquire something or in order to accomplish your goals, it's important that you learn the craft of persuasion, right? Now, by understanding fundamental human behavior as well as your own behavior, a lot of the satanic philosophy brings these subconscious human behaviors to a conscious level and explains it in a way that is very easy to digest, it's extremely palatable, and it gives you the ability to use ritualistic practices, because we are ritualistic creatures, to enhance the mental or the emotional state that you would need in order to remain focused, balanced, calm, and persuasive to achieve the goals that you need, right? I wouldn't view that as necessarily manipulation. I would view that as more of like a conscious focus to accomplish the goals that I want to, right? Now, in some situations, do I believe that there are just some people that are stupid, counterproductive, and are heavily indoctrinated by dogmatic beliefs? Yes. And do I believe that those people that believe in what they believe should be taken advantage of, like so-and-so Christians? Yes, because it is their fault, right? It is no one else's fault but their own that they have allowed themselves to go that far into whatever it is that they believe within their life.
Yeah, but what's the... here's the problem with what you're saying. Even if I took it at face value, even though we just agreed on the definition being that Satanism itself, under Anton LaVey, says that this is meant as psychodramatic catharsis to focus emotional energy for a specific purpose, ultimately using wile or guile to bend another person to your will. That is not the same thing as you saying that you're going to engage in discourse to convince a person, or that you're going to use the art of persuasion, which is different than manipulation. So these are two distinct categories, and my big criticism here, though, is like, let's just say I took it at face value what you're saying, that that you're just talking about using the art of persuasion at a job interview or something like this. If it is the case that LaVey himself says that this is to use wile or guile to manipulate people to their will, what's the restraint on that? There isn't there isn't any actual restraint on that you can quote to that's grounded in anything real.
There is actually. So
hang on. Listen to the last thing I said. Hang on, bro. Let me finish what I'm saying. I just let you go through the whole thing. There's nothing there that would be a restraint on that's grounded in anything real or material. Anything that you try to ground a restraint on this guile and manipulation would be grounded in something that's metaphysical. Do you understand?
No.
Okay, so how could you say you doing X thing, Andrew, is wrong without appealing to yourself as the grounding of it, the material you and your brain? You couldn't, right?
So is this going to now turn into a Philbro conversation?
No, it's not a Philbro. This is me just saying there's nothing. If it's the case that you're just looking at this as a purely materialistic thing, right, and bending people to their will, then anything you're going to appeal to for why you shouldn't go as far as possible to bend them to your will is not going to be grounded in anything that is material. And that's a contradiction in terms, right?
So in Satanism, there is the humanistic factor, or not the humanistic factor. There is in the natural world in which we live, amongst humans, there is the topic of social Darwinism, which is recognized and is essentially accepted amongst atheists and within the natural world in which we live. It is a part of the human experience.
This doesn't answer my question, dude.
Under this premise of social Darwinism, right, the satanic philosophy does have what is called the 11 rules of the earth. It also has the 9 satanic statements, and there are also the 9 satanic sins. So if you were to, as a Satanist who was born a Satanist, who reads the Satanic Bible for the first time and says, this piece of literature resonates with me, I agree with this literature.
So it's grounded in you.
It absolutely is.
Yeah, so then you're appealing to something which is material. So the only way that you could say, hey man, you should not beguile that person and take his wife and everything he owns for your own personal gain is just that you would prefer that I didn't, right, ultimately?
Are there consequences in doing so?
What if there wasn't for me, just for you, or just for the other guy?
Are there consequences in knowing that under the realms of social Darwinism, if you were to mess with another man's wife, are there going to be ramifications?
No, there's not always ramifications, no. In fact, the system protects you if you mess with another man's wife, doesn't it?
What do you mean?
Well, like, you're not allowed, if you came home and I was boning your wife, the system would protect me from you assaulting me, wouldn't it?
No, it wouldn't.
Yes, it would.
Under what guise?
I would call 911, say this guy's trying to hurt me, and police officers would show up with clubs and guns, right?
Yeah. No. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, so under social Darwinism, that would favor the beguiler, right? The person who's doing the bad thing. And you would just simply appeal to yourself and say, I just don't prefer that you did that. That's it.
Right.
But isn't that like the weakest ideology ever?
Under the realm of social Darwinism, you have to understand that in doing so, that whatever consequences come with your actions,
what consequences?
You have to be prepared to pay for those.
Yeah, but what consequence? It sounds like the system completely favors doing the bad thing, and you can use this system to beguile people, bend them to your will, and the more I bend them to the will and take what I want from them, you have no restraint on that if they're following these tenets, other than to say, I just prefer that you wouldn't.
Okay, so if we're going to talk about extremes here, right?
That's not extreme. Like, that's common.
No. I'm bringing up. I am bringing up an example.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So when going on a date,
yeah,
right, you essentially will shave, trim your nose hairs, pluck a few loose hairs from off of your brow, and maybe put on a little bit of cologne and some deodorant to make yourself look and smell somewhat appeasing and attractive, correct?
Sure.
Right. So you are essentially highlighting your physical attributes in order to win over the attention, the admiration, or potentially the heart of the person that you are courting for a date, right?
Okay.
Would you say that that is a form of persuasion or manipulation?
It could be categorized under neither, but I would say persuasion first before I would say manipulation. It would depend on the degree. So, like some things are just within the realm of social acceptability, like what is socially acceptable, that I would categorize as neither.
It brings me to my next point, is the intention behind you plucking the brow, trimming your nose hair, putting on deodorant, and putting on cologne, right? If the intent is of a more nefarious nature instead of courting, right? Or you have a personal agenda for whatever reason that you feel the need, to involve yourself with this person, it's the act itself of the grooming that one would categorize as persuasion, right? But then when you
no, I'm not sure that that's the case.
When you interject the intention behind it, what your intent may be, that's where manipulation comes involved, right?
No, I'm not. Listen, I'm not actually sure that that's the case.
Satanism is about balance, right? Everything in this philosophy is basically saying there is no evidence whatsoever to ground this concept of morality, which is subjective, into anything spiritual or metaphysical at all.
Right.
And in so, because there is no evidence, I am my own highest power, and I have to hold myself accountable to the standard in which I'm willing to accept the consequences to all of my actions.
Right. So you're God in this scenario.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
In my own subjective universe, yes. I am my own.
So then if another God comes along and bangs the shit out of your wife and gets away with it, what's the problem there?
Well, the problem with that is that, for one, it is a disregard for boundaries. Which,
so what? He's a god. He doesn't care about your boundaries.
The premise that you have to take into consideration is that the whole concept of morality is nothing more than an evolutionary byproduct of empathy.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with what I just said. I'm granting this, but you just said within your subjective framework, you're God. Okay, so if another Satanist practicing Satanist, who within his subjective morality, he's God, not you, bangs the shit out of your wife, and elopes with her, and says, I didn't do anything wrong, I'm God, right? What is your actual recourse here, except to just be like, oh, that sucks?